Hey guys, it's Andy with the Rad Company and welcome to Wash Wednesday. In today's video, we have a unique car. So Mirko, what kind of car do we have?
Today we have my 2000 Clown Shoe.
All right, Mirko, so you're right, man. This is a very unique car. And I think Dane, are the cars getting smaller on this show?
Maybe a little.
I feel like they're just getting smaller and smaller, but hey, there's no problems there, man. This makes it easier for me. So, Mirko, have you ever done a rinseless wash before?
I bought just about everything for it, but I've never been brave enough to do it.
Okay, you have to take the leap, right? You need somebody to hold your hand. Well, I can't hold your hand because of what's going on right now, but I'm here in theory to help you, guide you for your rinseless journey, so this becomes pretty easy. And we're kind of spoiled ourselves because we're gonna be doing this inside the wash bay here. Not gonna be using soap and water. We're gonna be using a rinseless inside here, but it's really cool because we have the lines here with pure O&R coming out of them. Not pure, but diluted O&R. So we'll be able to use that as well as some other products in here to get this car all cleaned up. So do you know where we're gonna start first?
Wheels?
Yes, well, he's cheating because I already told him we're gonna start wheels. So yes, we're gonna start wheels first this time around because we know everybody has seen a ton of rinseless washes on the show. So we're gonna start with the wheels first, get the tires cleaned up, get all those cleaned up with Brake Buster, and then from there we're gonna go on to the rest of the wash. So we have our buckets in front of us. We have a lot to, a little to do here in a period of time, but we're just gonna roll with it. So you ready to get started?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. All right, so for the wheels, for the wheel cleaning, we're gonna be using a couple of different minks. So we have the Minx Royale, which is one of my favorite wheel cleaning towels. I don't really explain that enough on the show, but this is a towel that's really easy to contour around spokes and things like that. It's also extremely soft because it's a 70-30 blend. We have some Detail Factory brushes in here and my favorite tire brush. So we're gonna start this, right? And this is something you can practice at home, right? Without all the fancy stuff, but maybe some pump sprayers will do the job. We're gonna pre-spray the wheels first with O&R. So inside there is O&R, so go ahead and pre-spray that wheel. And to some of you guys, you're like, well, that's not a very high pressure rinse, right? Doesn't need to be. It's O&R, it starts doing the work for you.
Should I get the tires?
Yep, get the tires too. Perfect, okay, cool. So now you're gonna put that hose back, and now we're gonna grab the Bead Maker hose. We have a hose with, no, not Bead Maker, sorry. We're gonna grab the Brake Buster hose, not Bead Maker, yeah, that would not be good. So Brake Buster, which is going to be, it's a good question. I think it's the black, no, it's not the black hose. Is it the gray hose? That's it, yep, there we go. That's the one. So go ahead and go give that a spray on the wheel and tire.
All right.
Rinse that off.
Not again. Now, does this turn purple or?
So this will not turn purple. So there's certain wheel cleaners out there that will contain, it's basically kind of like a fault remover and iron remover. This does not contain that. So Brake Buster is just naturally purple. So
it smells purple, so.
It smells kind of like, well, black licorice. It's not the best smell in the world, but it's not the worst smell in the world. So, so how I like to start this is actually I like to start the tire cleaning first, right? And I'll usually typically rinse out my brush after I rinse out, or after I hit each tire. So you don't really have, oh, holy crap, look how dirty these are.
Yeah, I just had them rotated.
I barely even touched that. So
yep.
Now what's nice about these brushes is that they do have a rubber lip on them, right? So if you hit the fender, not the worst thing in the world, but I'm gonna try not to here. So we're gonna try to get, holy smokes, these are dirty, man. These are dirty. So the idea is we're gonna go around each wheel, getting all the tires cleaned up. And so what's nice about Brake Buster is it's a wheel and tire cleaner. So it's both, right? So typically most wheel cleaners, depending on how they're balanced or where they are on the pH scale, they don't really have the ability to do a deep clean on tires, whereas this stuff does. It's a little bit more alkaline, so it's gonna be able to clean and brown the tires really nice, and they call it blooming is what they typically call it. So it'll look really, really good once we get finished. But I'm gonna let you do this because that fender to wheel gap stresses me out. So I'll have you do that, but I'll show you the next process here. So once we knock that out, we're gonna go through with our small Detail Factory brush, and we're gonna get into all the recessed areas, get all of the fancy little bobs and buttons and all of that, get into the lugs. And then because I am super meticulous about how I like wheel cleaning, I think a brush would be fine on these, but I want to use a towel because I think it's gonna do a better job. So this is still O&R inside here. I'm gonna rinse that out, grab my towel, and then hit the faces, or do whatever way you like to do it most. And then from there, I'll do a ring around the entire wheel.
All right.
Now, and you'll try this and you'll see what I mean. These towels are extremely soft, so there's not a lot of scrubbing capabilities, but they do basically just...
It just wipes the layer of dirt away.
Yep, it just wipes the layer of dirt away. So there you go. And then from there we'll rinse it, but I'm gonna have you start on the tires, and while you're starting on that, I'm gonna grab these, start on the other wheels.
Okay. Should I dip the brush in the O&R or
so
just
what we'll
keep
do,
it out?
Great question. This is what I like to do. I like to have, and in theory, right, I could clip this to you like a leash if you would like, right? So in theory, you would have that brush here, bring it over down here. I'm just gonna rinse that out.
So if I had a compressor at home.
Yep, if you had a compressor, or whatever you want to do, or if you had an extra bucket that you wanted to dip it in, you can. But I didn't know that these were gonna be this dirty, so
Yeah,
there you go.
I'm
Now
sorry.
shake that out, then you can go back in the bucket.
Okay.
So yeah, you can go ahead and keep scrubbing the tires, and I will move on to this rear wheel here.
So I have another question about brushes.
Okay.
So the detail brush,
Yes.
is there a way you should like clean around lug nuts? Because every time I buy wheel brushes, I feel like I wash my wheels twice and then they get ruined and they fray and then they, like, is the solution to buy a better, more expensive brush, or is my technique just broken?
No, so yes, I would say that you kind of get what you get out of it when you buy brushes, right? So typically cheap brushes, you'll get a couple times of use out of them because most of these brushes are glued together, right? Regardless of whether they're wood or they're plastic, there is glue within that. So sometimes they'll fall apart, or sometimes they're not putting a dense enough boar's hair or a synthetic hair in them to be able to withstand a lot of scrubbing, right? So what's nice about the Detail Factory brushes is that they are extremely, extremely dense. They have a ton of bristles in them, and the glue they use is extremely chemical resistant. So I feel like my brushes that I've had from Detail Factory have lasted me well over 2 years now since I got them, and I haven't had any issues at all whatsoever. But I can say that my cheaper brushes that I have that I use for really, really dirty jobs have not held up anywhere near as well.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, I think the wheels look a lot better. So, I mean, so far, right? Still have to dry them, put a little bead maker on them, a little spice on top. But what do you think? Easy process, more work, less work? In theory?
Pretty straightforward. I
Okay.
think you just have to be a little more structured how you approach it. So
Exactly, right? And it's kind of like a, what do you call that when you do it so many times? Like a muscle memory type of situation, right? So once you kind of do this enough, especially with like an O&R wash, you don't forget, right? You just kind of know what to do. And so now what you're gonna need to do is gonna grab the O&R, the light blue sprayer.
Oh, sprayer, not the bucket.
And we are going to be doing a pre-spray. So O&R, just so you know, right? So O&R is a polymer-based product, right? So the entire body of O&R in that bottle is one highly concentrated polymer that can be diluted with water to create another polymer, right? Okay. And so the coolest part for us, especially here in Idaho, is that it's a natural water softener. So the second that you mix it with harder water, it's going to keep the magnesium and calcium and those type of contaminants from bonding to the surface, causing hard water spots. So any water spots left behind is actually just a polymer spot, and those just wipe right off. So I like it because it eliminates the hard water aspect of washing your vehicle, because I just hate hard water, as you guys have seen all the hard water spot removal videos. I don't like it, so I like using this method because I think it's just as safe as water. And soap, I think that it's extremely effective, it's fast, I can do it in my garage, and I can do it pretty much anywhere on the fly and have a clean car. So what we're doing now is pre-spraying the car with O&R so it can begin doing the work, right? I don't want to just dunk my mitt into the solution and get going, because I want this to start sitting on the surface and start offering more lubrication and more cleaning ability. So we're gonna start top to bottom, and it doesn't have to be a high pressure rinse. All we're trying to do is just get coverage on the car. And this isn't a very big car, so this should go pretty fast.
Now, will this fix my neighbor's broken sprinkler?
Absolutely
that sprays
not.
hard water on my car?
Absolutely not. You could try to splash some O&R on his sprinkler and see if it'll magically fix his sprinkler, but in terms of fixing that, no. I would say, I don't know, you can try to.
What if I attach a little sprayer to a sprinkler full of O&R?
yeah. What you can do is set up one of those things, right? Have that be the feed line from his sprinkler, and so every time it sprinkles your car, it's just pure O&R, you know, diluted. That would be pretty nice.
I feel like this is your next big product.
This is the biggest. This is arguably one of the biggest products in the detailing industry, hands down. It's something that, do most consumers know about O&R? No. But do most professionals? Absolutely. So I would say it has a place in every person's shop.
So I learned about it from my old boss, and then he always has his cars paint corrected right away.
Yeah.
And then he gets
ceramic
them,
coated probably.
Yep. And then he usually does O&R rinseless.
Yeah.
And and I went out and I bought it, and then I just I couldn't get it through my head that it's not going to put scratches and swirls in the paint.
Yeah.
And
Well, if it makes you feel better, I had it for probably a couple months, and it was years and years and years ago. We had a really bad winter here, and my car was absolutely filthy, and I just couldn't take it anymore, and I needed to clean it, but it was still snowy season out, and I didn't have time to go take it down to a little spray wash, so kind of where I do it myself. So I took the risk, grabbed a ton of towels, did an O&R soak in a lot of them, and did one towel at a time, doing the multi-towel method after doing a pre-spray, and I couldn't believe it. I was sitting there like, my car is covered in literal sand from the ground, and this still didn't swirl or scratch my car. It was very impressive. And so I've tested it in almost every single condition. And I tell people to use common sense, right? If your car has mud on it, if you've been taking your car off-roading,
probably rinse it off first.
Pre-rinse it with water first.
I take this mudding all the time, so.
Yeah, pre-rinse it with water first, then pull it into your garage, or then do an O&R wash. Don't sit there and think, and don't like shelf an item just because you think that it's got, you know, one limitation that it can't do everything, because it really can. You just gotta use common sense.
Okay. So what about doing this outside in the sun?
Totally fine. Okay. I do O&R washes in the sun all the time. Typically, I just tell people do a panel at a time. When you do a panel at a time, you can do it just as fast. And that way you're not worrying about anything drying up, because it's not hard water, like I said, drying. It's polymer product, but it's still, you'd have to go back over the area. It's just more of an efficiency thing at that point. So over here,
hard water spots, so.
Yeah. All right, so over here, you'll come over here. I have a bucket here. We're gonna be sharing the same bucket, but don't worry, because this is filled with O&R, got a grit guard on the bottom. And so the chenille mitt, you can use a couple different ways. If you wanna be a hand and mitt guy, you can do that. I like to tuck it, personally.
Okay.
More of a tucker. So I like to tuck the cuff, and that way I can grab it and flip it to both sides. So we're going from top to bottom, so you're gonna start on that side here, and we are going to do one wipe straight across.
Okay.
I typically check how dirty it is, and at that point, I'm like, you know what? I got a little bit of dirt on it, I'll flip it on its side, do another pass, flip the mitt completely over, do another pass, and finish that off, right?
Okay.
Then from there, I know that
some sap right here.
Oh, probably.
Right here.
Probably.
A little bit of sap.
I could actually feel a little bit of some tree sap here on the glass, but don't worry. We can get to that eventually. We have some razor blades we can pick that off with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not a big deal.
I like to use like 60 grit.
Oh, good. Yeah. All right, so you're gonna dunk it back in. What that's gonna do, that's gonna release a lot of that dirt, right? So the idea is to release it. It's gonna fall below the grit guard. We're gonna come back over to here, knock out the whole hood, then flip it. I tell people, do you have to flip it every single pass? No, but it's more of like an insurance thing, right? The more you flip it, the less often you're gonna have an area that has dirt or contamination on it going back onto the paint. But, all right, so I think it's a good time to start talking about this, right? Since we are bonding over here via washing. So tell me about this car. How long have you had it? What made you want to get a clown shoe? What is the madness behind all of it?
So, I think it was about 18, 20 maybe. Okay. I saw one of these driving down the street, and I always liked weird and odd cars and motorcycles.
Yeah.
So Usually the weirder it looks, the rarer it is, the more I want it.
Okay. So like Dane can agree, right, Dane? You weirdo.
And it's usually very counterproductive because that means parts are really hard to come by. They have lots of issues that are like hard to figure out and fix.
There's a reason they're rare, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So luckily before this, I've had probably like 15 different cars, but one car I kept for about 10 years was my turbocharged D36.
Okay.
And so I got really, really familiar with the S52 engine, the transmission, like the suspension. They used to be like a dedicated track car. And so I figured I really didn't have a reason to not buy one of these.
Okay.
And I started researching them, and then I realized that, well, money was the reason to not buy one of these.
Yeah.
So I had to make a decision where I wanted to buy like a nice, low mile, pristine one and keep it in my garage and never enjoy it, or buy one that was a little bit higher mileage and actually like get all the joy I can out of it.
Yeah.
And I went that route and started the journey for about a year trying to find one that was kind of in the Northwest that hit all the right spots.
Okay.
So I wanted something that had at least a handful of mods done to it, like at least suspension.
Yeah.
Just because suspension can get pretty spendy.
Yep.
And,
you absolutely can.
So yeah, I was getting ready to leave for Portland for a wedding, and then I was the best man at the wedding and I couldn't miss it. And this car popped up for sale in Seattle.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I talked to my girlfriend.
Make a trip out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to my girlfriend, and I told her if I can talk this guy down, like I think it was like what, 15% from the asking price.
Yeah.
Like I'm just gonna offer it to him. I'm gonna
See what happens. Throw it out there, right? Just what's the worst that can happen? He says no. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and we were gonna drive up to Portland, and yeah, I talked to the guy and I threw the number out there, and he's like, sure, yeah, whatever. He's
Wow.
like, I have 2 of these. I'm selling them both. I'm trying to buy a DB9. I just want cash to put down on it. And yeah, so I bought our tickets. We flew up there. I thought he was in Seattle, so he was nice enough to pick us up. And yeah, and then proceeded to drive us like 2.5 hours.
Oh no way.
East of Seattle.
Oh no way.
So, which I'm really, really glad that.
But now you have to buy it. Right?
Yeah, I have
It's like you're in his car. You're like, so.
Yeah, and at this point, I'm just scared that you can't really fly with knives or weapons or anything,
Yeah.
and it's like I don't know this guy.
Driving you into the woods.
Yeah.
And literally, he just lived way out in the woods, and we got there, and he had this one. He sold the other one already, so the other one was actually the nicer one, the S54, and that was his nice street car, and then he made the slower one his track car for some reason. So I don't know why, but
To learn, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
Get good with it.
yeah, and yeah, so we made it to his house. I got into it. I didn't quite realize that this was his like dedicated track car, and he never really drove it on the street. So
Oh
it was
really? Okay.
Extremely stiff suspension. The wipers were not on it,
Oh okay. Wow.
which is super fun when you're driving through Seattle in the middle of a storm.
Yeah.
So it didn't have wipers. It didn't have cruise control. Doesn't have traction control. Mind you, this is November at this
Yeah.
point. So we have to drive through the mountains. And yeah, we got the car started driving back, and the first thing we got on the highway, and I lifted off the throttle. I was kind of getting on it, and the whole rear end just shimmied, and I felt like I lost traction at about 70, 75 miles an hour in the rain.
Oh crap. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, it can't be that fast. It's not that powerful. So we kind of limped it to Portland. We pulled over. I called the guy. He's like, nope, never had a problem with it.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had a friend of mine that has a shop there. He kind of took a look over it. He couldn't find anything. Well, we just assumed something was wrong, but we didn't know what. So we just limped it back home. Hit a blizzard in the Blue Mountains, in the Blue Mountain Pass.
So like what's going through your head at all this? You're like, was this a bad idea?
Yeah.
Is this a sign?
Oh, I don't think I've ever been that stressed in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just had to pull over. I bought Rain-X, hoping that would help because there was no wipers on it.
Yeah.
And that didn't do anything. And And then no traction control, that didn't really help.
Yeah, that
So
would be crazy.
we took a detour, waited out the storm a little bit, made sure the roads were a little clearer. It turned into just like hail and slush really fast.
Gotcha, yeah.
And yeah, we just drove the rest of the way home, and I just drove it straight to my buddy's shop here and had him look it over. And yeah, he checked the rear suspension, and the trailing arm bolts were completely, the bushing failed and the bolts were just loose. So every time I would get on the throttle, it would self-steer with the rear. So it basically had hike-us in the rear end.
Okay, yeah.
So on power, it would go one way, and when you lift off, it would just transition to the other side.
How exciting, right? No,
Yeah.
okay. Cool, man. I think we're done here. I think we pretty much got the whole thing. So you can put that back in the bucket over there.
All right.
And so now we are going to get to the drying portion. So we're gonna grab a couple towels and we're gonna get Bead Maker on tap. All right, Mirko, so it's time to dry the vehicle now, but we're gonna obviously add a little bit of the spice on top. So we're gonna grab some Bead Maker on tap. We're gonna spray the whole car down, small car, right? So whole car, it's like half of a car. I don't wanna offend the car, but it's a shoe, but it's a bigger Okay, so I'm just gonna grab that Bead Maker. We're gonna spray it down. We have our towels here. These are the Gauntlet drying towels. I have the little one. I don't know why, I ended up with the little one. You got the bigger one.
Little car, big towel, right?
Yeah, good for you, good for you. So Bead Maker is going to be the black hose right there. So you're gonna grab that, and we are going to pretty much cover the car. Have you put Bead Maker on this, or have you put any type of spray sealant or protectant on it?
I have put on some Turtle Wax Seal and Shine. I clayed it, I roughly decontaminated the car, and then I put some of that, but I didn't do a paint correction on it, so I don't know how well it stays on there.
Okay, no, you're good, you're good. So it's actually a good product. I think Seal and Shine is pretty good stuff. So with this, we are just going to cover it, right? The idea is to get a good coverage because it works the best that way. That's when the polymers, the monomers start flipping, and basically we want to try to create a new even surface is what we're trying to do of the product. And then when we wipe it, you'll see what I mean. Basically, Bead Maker has some hardeners in it where it'll harden and cure over time over the next 8 hours, where this thing will feel extremely, extremely slick. So when I'm spraying this, I am getting pretty good coverage.
Uh-oh.
Maybe. There you go,
there
right?
it goes.
Yeah. If you need to, you can twist that little nozzle at the top, and that'll give you a little bit of a better spray. So yeah, so all we're doing is we're just drying this in. I mean, it's pretty simple, and you don't need to overcomplicate it. So I'm just going over, doing a couple passes, getting on the glass, and basically it's got UV protection to it. It has about anywhere from a month to 3 months durability, depends on the application, the prep that goes into it. Okay. So it can be a great standalone sealant, or if you want this just to be a topper for every single time you wash it, you can do that too.
Okay. I have drying towels, but none of them are like this, like two type of.
None of them look that cool, is what you're trying to say.
In more words, yes.
Yeah. So we have a lot of different drying towels, right? And I think drying is one of those things where it's a lot based on preference and what the person is looking for when it comes to a drying towel, because there is towels that are waffle weaves, there's towels that are circular knit weaves, there's towels that are hybrid weaves, there's twist weaves, there's flared twist, or like something very similar to this. So there's a lot you can choose from. So it's about what works best for you.
Is there like a specific purpose when they're just parallel lines on there with two different? Or?
So this was more of a design feature, but also something that functions really, really well as well. So basically, the lines that we have in the pluffle, right, the high spots, right, are going to create less pressure points, right, because it's a little bit more, how do I say, it's thicker, right? It's like a pillow. Whereas the tighter weave areas that still continue to be that twist loop, those are just a really dense, absorbent style. So basically what you're getting is you're getting the safety net of the flared twist, or the more of the I don't know how to call it, the shag carpet feel, right? Okay. Whereas you're getting the density and absorbency of the twist loop within those lines. So it's kind of, it's a design thing, but it's also a functionality thing. The one thing I will say, there is one flaw to the towel. If you drag dry with the stripes like this, right, and pull it down, it'll leave some stripes behind. Not a big deal, but something that I'd consider going and wiping over. So that is the one flaw in this really, really cool towel.
So you solve it by turning it 90 degrees and pulling that way.
Yep, exactly. It's not hard to fix it. It's just, you just gotta think outside of the box.
So how dry does it need to be? Like, does it Like if there's like a little bit of a moisture trail behind it, is that okay?
Oh, so yeah, so
or do I need to like buff it until it looks completely dry? Like there won't be any spots behind.
It's up to you. Based on the way that this car is feeling, I think that it's going to, that streak or whatever would be left behind is going to pretty much absorb straight into the paint.
Okay.
Because I can tell that this paint feels thirsty to me. And some detailers will know what I mean by thirsty. It feels like it wants the protection. So every time I put it on, it's like, give me more, give me more. So that's why we did such a thick coat. And it's feeling a lot better. It's feeling a lot more moisturized, I guess I should say. Because paint is a lot like skin, right? And that paint needs wax, it needs protection, it needs something to basically keep it from really drying out, right? And so that's why protecting a car with your favorite sealant or wax is so important and staying up on it. And don't overdo it, because there's a lot of guys out there that like to overdo it, and that's when you start getting streaking issues because you've built up too much of a layer of wax or of sealant. But if you get to the point where you're not seeing any of those and the car is liking the regimen that you have, whether it's, you know, once a month, twice a month, once every few months, then keep it going.
Okay. Because I've had the streaking issue with my interior.
Okay.
Especially if I do it outside.
Yeah.
Like I have a couple of products I use, and then the seats look great for like first half an hour, and then I'll go to bed. Usually I'll do it like late, like right as the sun goes down when I wash the car.
Yeah.
So it's not in direct sunlight, and then I come back out the next morning and there's just like a white haze over everything.
Fun fact, so we distribute for a company called Color Lock, right? Which happens to be one of the biggest leather companies in the world in terms of leather preservation, maintenance, caring for them, dyeing leather. And we distribute for that company that are from Germany.
And they're tied to BMW.
And they're tied to BMW. So let's just say we have products that would be a lot better than probably what you're currently putting on here that would be more designed for this car. So now typically, right, if you were, you know, if you're an enthusiast or you're somebody at home that only has so many towels, I would say you probably want to grab a different towel to wipe out your door jams, right? You know, you grab a different towel, something that's not as nice, right? In this case, you know, this towel's already damp with O&R. I would say just open up your door, and then we'll just quickly wipe out the door jams, and we have plenty of towels, so it's not a big deal, guys. Don't worry. They're like, you use the gauntlet on your door jams? Well, yeah, we're a towel company. We have unlimited amounts of these, I think.
So with O&R, you don't have to go through a ton of towels, right? Or should you replace them every couple of body panels?
If you're doing a multi-towel method, you can replace every couple of body panels, whatever you feel most comfortable with. When I'm doing an O&R wash, I will use the same drying towel throughout the entire process, or 2 drying towels depending on how saturated they get. But overall though, I mean, when you're using the chenille mitts like we were using, you only need 1 mitt, maybe 2 mitts if you want to get really meticulous. Or you can just do the multiple towel method where you take 6 to 8 towels, put them in the bucket, pull 1 out individually at a time, and the second that it gets saturated, you just set it aside.
Okay.
So yeah, that pretty much wraps that up. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna grab a couple more towels, and we are going to, I don't know, what do you guys think? Maybe a little bit of blue bead maker on the wheels? I don't know, yeah, we're gonna do blue bead maker on the wheels. All right, Mirko, so we have the car dried, washed, everything's looking good. So now what's left is just the wheels. Now, I told you before, we have blue bead maker. I want any excuse to use blue bead maker because I like it. So this is the IK sprayer. This is one of the new trigger sprayers from IK. Totally awesome, has some of the best atomization of the product I've ever seen. The only downside, I wish it was just a little bit more comfortable. I know Levi has some arthritic hands, and I could see why after using trigger sprayers for so many years. So when I hold this, I'm like, this is good, but I'd like this to be a little bit longer, but we're gonna make it work. So what we're using today is a Minx Royale. This is like the same towel that we were using for washing. I also like using it to dry my wheels. I think it's just a really good towel that contours to certain areas. So we're gonna spray this down. So more bead maker is not a bad thing, especially on wheels. And then we're gonna come through, dry the faces just like we would normally do, and clean it all up. So I'll let you have a shot at the other side there.
All right.
Let me know what you think of the smell, be honest. Oh, so good. Like,
it doesn't taste great, but let's see. Make sure you get all the curb rash in these.
oh yeah, I'm definitely making sure, I don't want to forget, I want to forget about it, right?
Wouldn't that be nice if you could just wipe it away like that?
Yeah, if only everything worked like this. And tasted like this, of course.
Yeah.
But don't try this at home.
Oh yeah, that was
What if I oversprayed a little bit on the paint?
Totally fine. So you could take another towel if you want to. You can grab that same gauntlet towel and clean it up. It's not gonna hurt anything. It's the same stuff that's already on it, just a different color.
Okay, so this is always a tough spot.
Yeah, get in between the lugs.
Getting in there, getting the water. So I usually get my compressor out at home.
Yep,
And
that's
then-
one way to do it.
And then whatever's in there, I end up getting covered in it, so.
Yes, yep, I know that feel. Yeah, air compressors work great. Blowers, leaf blowers. People see us use leaf blowers on this channel and they're like, you can't use that, you're a towel company. I'm like, well, it's an efficiency thing. Of course I can absolutely do this. I'm just working smarter, not harder.
Yeah, I've seen people buy a little vacuum cleaner, or not, they're like little jet like blowers.
Yeah,
They look like a little mini, like a shop vac.
Yeah.
But I looked them up online and I was like, I'm into detailing, maybe not that into detailing.
Metro blowers, right? And you're like $400
Yeah.
for this blower. Oh, how much do I love my car?
If I could use it for other stuff, maybe it's worth the investment, but.
Yeah. So go ahead and knock out the back wheel there. I'll knock out this other one. And then once we get the car out of here, we'll throw a little tire shine on that, right? Make them pop a little bit. Give them the color.
Those fronts could use it for sure.
Yes, they could. Ah, smells good.
So what's the smell? It's like berry-ish kind of.
So everybody wants to know what the smell is. I won't tell
Bubblegum
you
berry?
exactly what it is. I will say it's just kind of think of the ingredients that would have been in like bomb pops or rocket pops, something like that. You know, there's a certain blood out there that people think it smells a lot like. I'm not gonna tell you the animal, but it's a certain smell. But I like it, and so we'll see if it sticks around. Who knows? You know, it's a limited edition spray that we came out with, but we're hoping that if enough people like it, we can bring it on as a full-time thing here.
Okay. But as far as the actual chemical in it, it's same as the orange.
Yep,
Speed
same as the
Maker?
orange one.
Okay.
Same exact. Same exact.
All right, that's getting nice and shiny. No matter how many times I get in here, I can't get all the water out. I guess I got it out most of it. Yeah, nope, still more in there.
Well, once we get the car out, we can blow it out.
Oh, okay. What about the tires?
Tires, you can do a quick wipe around them just to get the water off.
Okay.
And if I don't slip and die today, I've been catching myself like I slip. I'm like, oh, I meant to do that, right? That was a dance move. And people are like, you almost died there. Yeah, that's true.
I once made a mistake of using tire shine to get my rubber all-weather floor mats nice and shiny.
Oh, yeah, you only make that mistake once.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a sore tailbone for the next couple of weeks every
Yeah.
time I'd get in the car.
Yeah.
It just,
But you're always surprised, right? You're like,
Oh,
why
yeah.
am I slipping into this? Oh yeah, that's why. Gosh, I need to do something about that next time you get in the car. Why am I slipping into this? Oh yeah, that's why.
yeah, it's the type of thing where you regret having an interior mirror because you get to see yourself right as you fall.
Yes. Cool.
Face everybody makes when they do it.
Yeah. You're like, I should start parking in my garage so no one gets to see this.
All right, so we're gonna move this stuff out of the way. I think we are almost done. So I think all that's left is we're gonna pull the car out, get it out of this swamp in here, right? We're gonna get it over in front of the fancy little sticker over there. Then we're gonna get the tires shine on, film our outro, and hopefully see some pretty cool rolling shots of this car on the road.
All right, let's do it.
All right, Mirko, well, the car looks awesome, but I know those tires still look a little brown. I'm not a fan of browning tires. So we're gonna go ahead and hit those a little bit with some Shine All. So typically when it comes to tires that are still that brown, that would mean they need to be thoroughly, thoroughly scrubbed, right? We could clean those even further than what we did here.
Okay.
Easiest way to do that though would be the wheels and tires off the car, hands down, because your fender to gap there, your wheel to gap right there, wheel to fender, the lip to fender. Jimmy, what are the kids saying? Lip to fender. Okay, so your lip to fender is just too tight in there. So next time you have the wheels off, you can do a thorough, clean, deep scrub and get all that browning off and then dress them. But this will make them look better than what they do now. So Shine All water-based dressing from P&S. So hold your towel like that. I'm gonna spray a little corner. You don't need a lot, kind of work it into the towel a little bit. And what we're gonna do is we are just gonna do a ring around the tire. And then once you go around the whole thing, you can flip it to a dry side and then just work it in.
So how how close do you get to the wheel? Or like what if you get it on the wheel, does it
Not
leave
a
like sticky residue?
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
I've had that before where I get tire dressing on the wheel.
Yes.
I try to wipe it off thoroughly and then I go for a drive and there's just dust everywhere where the tire dressing was.
So you want to know what that is? A lot of silicone-based dressings will do that. And we're getting away from those in the world. We're going all water-based, right, Dean?
That's right.
So when it comes to water-based dressings, they will not stain a wheel. They will not leave any crazy residue. They do not attract a ton of dust. If anything, they just dissipate into the surface, right? The worst thing that will happen with a water-based dressing is that it just doesn't last very long. It won't cause any problems.
I think I may need some more here.
Okay, yeah, I'll spray some more for you. Here you go.
Like if we can make the other one look just as brown, I say we wouldn't have to.
We can at least get them to match, right?
Yeah.
Not bad, right?
I like it because it's not, it adds a lot of depth, but it's not shiny.
Yes, that's very true. All right, Mirko, what do you think?
I love it. It's way cleaner and shinier.
Dude, and now people would expect, right, that he would say that, but you don't have to say that, right? We don't have a gun held to your head. You guys can lower it back there. Hey, it's fine. He said it. Okay, so we're good, man. So yes, so Bead Maker does make a difference. So I think it did add some protection too. Like I said, this car could be due for a clay here pretty soon if you want to tackle that yourself, or bring it back and we can get this all clayed up for you. Just drop it off, leave the keys. Dane will borrow it for a couple of days. Not a big deal. But overall though, I think it's been well maintained. I think even though this car has been a track car, and like you said, it had basically been well used, right? For its age, this thing looks incredible. I think it looks absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it's a little rattly, a little shaky, but I'm putting a lot of stuff back to factory.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So I guess the one question I didn't ask is, what's the plan for this car in the future? To keep it forever, to restore it completely? What's your ideas?
So in the coupe community, they say this is, like to a lot of people that own them, this is their never sell car.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what's gonna happen here.
Okay.
The only way I would probably sell it is if I find a 2001 or a 2002 with lower miles at a good deal.
Yeah, yeah.
But at that point, I may just end up having two. So
Okay, yeah, right.
So.
Like the last guy that
Like
you
the
got it
previous
from,
owner,
right?
yeah.
Gotcha. So that makes a lot more sense. Well, I guess the big question is, what did you enjoy the most of everything you learned today? What product did you like the most? What system did you like?
I like how well Bead Maker wipes off. Doesn't really streak. I like the light tint to it, where you can kind of see where you sprayed it and covered it.
Definitely can, yeah.
Because a lot of times it just looks like a tiny bit of foaming, or it could be water and not Bead
Yeah.
Maker on there.
Yeah, you definitely know when it's Bead Maker, right?
Yeah.
Especially on the silver, which is
Yeah.
nice. Well, what did you think of your first rinseless wash experience? Is it something you're going to need to get used to, something you're willing to try on your own, or you want us to do it all from here for you?
Definitely will try it on my own now.
Okay.
Again, maybe I just didn't understand how well it works,
Yeah.
but yeah, that just having the freshly repainted hood and having a
It's
piece
right-
of sand,
yeah,
a grain of sand or something
yeah,
that just puts
yeah.
a big old line down it as I wipe away has been like a bit of a fear. So.
But now you know. Now we kind of walked you through it. I think you could definitely tackle that on your own. I think that you can get good with it too. Just like anything else in life, you need practice, and practice makes perfect. And I think O&R washing is something that's worth getting good at. So, all right, guys. Well, this has been an awesome Wash Wednesday. Hopefully, very unique for all of you out there that enjoyed seeing this M Coupe. Now, Mirko, where could they find more pictures of this and see this around?
I tend to post photos on Instagram occasionally.
Okay. Plug yourself. Do it, man.
I have a handful of other projects. So I have a couple of Ducatis that I'm working on. And I have
nice.
my technically daily driver, although I drive this more than that car. So, but yeah, find me on Instagram at Insepsis. It's not the easiest thing to spell.
Dane will plug it for you, all right? We'll get it all spelled out for you guys. Well, Mirko, this has been awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show and bringing this unique car on here. This has been a ton of fun. Even for a small car, it's still a ton of fun. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, found it entertaining, found it useful, or just found it educational. Make sure you give us a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. You subscribe down below for more, and stay tuned for more Wash Wednesdays right here at The Rad Company.